Hello, welcome to Astrology with Jo. Today in this podcast video, we're discussing the new moon in Virgo, happening on Saturday, the 23rd of August at 6 past 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and this is occurring at the 0 degree point of Virgo. Now, there is so many significant things to dive into with this new moon. So let's just do the Virgo thing and do things in order, starting with the usual description of what a new moon is. So this is the period of the lunar cycle when the moon is conjunct the sun on the same degree in the same sign. So this provides a very undiluted, raw, subjective energy to the sign of the moon, which in this case is the sign of Virgo. So it's the blending of two halves of the whole with the moon and the sun. This is the conscious ego spirit essence with the sun merging with the moon's subconscious, instinctual, emotional needs and soul essence. And because the moon is completely obscured from our point of view on Earth, it is dark at the new moon, representing a kind of a void space. So it marks the initiation of the whole lunar cycle where things are seeded, initiated in the darkness in this metaphorical womb or void. So at the time of the new moon, even though it's generally quite a quiet internal phase, we also have this infinite potential of creation here in the stillness, which is ripe for the inception of ideas and goals. And with this dark moon, we have metaphorically the inner world, the subconscious, your psyche, your needs and instincts. And this is why it is a quiet time, especially compared to the full moon, which is bright and obvious. But it is also a time that these liminal spaces of potential within you are made more accessible if you can set your consciousness to working on it. So with this Virgo new moon, the potential is around the physical, workable steps in your real daily life that you can implement effectively, okay? This is to enhance or make better or to fix X, Y, and Z, whatever that is for you. So look to the Virgo house in your natal chart to find out where this is playing out for you more personally. Virgo speaks of the sacredness of the rituals and the details of daily living, which makes up the components of the whole picture of your life. So this is what you do and how you function day to day, including your work, how you serve with your skills, your routine and habits, your health, your physical body. And also because Virgo is ruled by Mercury, also your practical mind and your analytical faculties in terms of pragmatic thinking and the implementation of your own grounded logic. So this is how you work, how you do tasks, how you maintain your own personal sense of natural order. How is a Virgo word. Remembering also that your own sense of natural order is not to be mistaken for perfection. Now, I explain over on my platforms, Patreon or Substack, how Virgo is in actual fact not the perfectionist of the zodiac that pop culture astrologers say, because to try to aim for perfection requires a certain amount of idealism, which Virgo just doesn't have. Virgo sees functionality, not the glossiness of impeccable order, which is controlled by the force of human will. Instead, Virgo has a talent for the divine and the necessary details, a talent for a high level of focus, and a really strong ability to handle the minutiae of whatever sphere of life we're talking about for you. So look to the spheres of your work, look to your working skills and your craft, look to your bodily health and how your mind-body axis functions, look to your habits and routines. And if all of this is in a natural order with your energy, or if these currents are kind of running at odds with what you know is good for you, healthy for you. So these are the things that we can implement new steps around at this Virgo new moon. Now, there are four main things which make this particular new moon very significant indeed. The first thing, which I've already mentioned, is that it lands at the 0 degrees of Virgo, which is a critical, extra potent degree. So this is super saturated Virgo energy, which kind of adds to the new moon energy of this very unfiltered, subjective sense of needing with the moon, needing to distill or purify, quote unquote, fix or make better some part of your life. Now, any of those spheres of life, which I've already mentioned, could be feeling very strongly in focus at this new moon. So your work, skills, routine, health, improvement, an overall sense of clarity or cleanliness, and the overall functionality or dysfunctionality of certain components of your daily life. So you will likely be feeling very strong needs or urges or instincts around any of these spheres of life around this time. And as this new moon is occurring on the very day that the sun enters Virgo, kind of opening up Virgo season, so to speak, it's likely that this entire month period of Virgo season, which, by the way, from the 23rd of August until the 23rd of September, this entire period of time is probably going to be quite colored by the themes and intentions that you set on this day because of that new moon initial phase, initiatory step energy. Now, I talk more about that over on my membership platforms as well. And the fact that this new moon is going to be coloring Virgo season is just made even more strong and more likely because the second thing which makes this new moon highly important is that it is the first of two. Yes, two Virgo new moons that we have this Virgo season. The term blue moon is used for many different things, so I won't use it to describe the Virgo new moons this season just to avoid confusion. But the once in a blue moon phrase refers to the fact that an extra lunation in a month or a sun season or a moon cycle, it's not very common. It does happen, but not often. And what it offers is a window of opportunity, like a double dose of a kickstarting energy with the initiatoriness of new moons here. Now we have a chance here to consolidate these new plans, new intentions, new steps around these Virgo themes twice. So the first time around may be to make the practical steps, come up with what you need to do. And the second new moon, which by the way is going to be before the equinox, this is going to be on the 22nd of September. The second new moon will be more of a forceful launching point to really physically set off with those intentions from these steps that you set in place now. This is made more powerful by the third reason that this new moon is so important, which is that it is all aligning with the eclipses and eclipse seasons. So that second Virgo new moon is going to be an eclipse, a solar eclipse in Virgo. So whatever you are putting into place now has the potential to gain so much traction and propel you through such a significant doorway or into such a significant phase, not only because it's one of two, but also because it is an eclipse linked to the massive changes that can occur with the eclipses. Now, in between these two Virgo new moons that we have bookending Virgo season, so on the 23rd of August and the 22nd of September, in the very middle, we have the midpoint of the moon cycle, which is going to be the full moon. This is going to be a Pisces eclipse, okay? That's going to be the first eclipse of eclipse season. So in the middle of these two new moons, at that point, there could be the sense that things start to come more fully into alignment because there may be a lessening of a load, baggage may be sloughed away, before you're able to fully launch off from that second new moon on the 22nd of September. So this full moon, by the way, which I'll be making another video for you, is going to be occurring on the 8th, that full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces on the 8th of September. So does all of this sound important enough for you yet? Now, the fourth and final reason that this new moon is powerful, significant, and forceful is that because it is at 0 degrees, it is lighting up the 4 outer planets and the social planets, so 5 in total, that we have at the beginning degrees of their signs. So it's therefore tied into this outer planet picture, the bigger evolutionary themes in your life right now that are already ongoing and are, of course, working with us this year, next year. So whatever big steps, big ideas, big changes and shifts that you're experiencing as a larger backdrop to your life, which is ongoing, this new moon is going to bring it to earth in a way which feels very tangible, usable, workable, like you can do something with it, because that's what Virgo does. And it also will probably bring it into your life in a way which becomes much more quotidian, more usual, more habitual, as if it's finally starting to integrate or infiltrate into real life, your day to day, in your on the ground experiences. So, what I'm going to explain from this new moon chart are the interactions between this lunation and the Uranus-Sedna conjunction in Gemini, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries, Pluto in Aquarius, and we'll be pulling Jupiter in Cancer onto the scene for good measure. So that really brings it up to six of the outer planets and the social planets that this new moon is contacting. So we're certainly in for some upgrades and paradigm shifts, my friends. So let's start with the most obvious one, which is that Uranus in Gemini squaring the Virgo new moon. So Uranus, remember, is also conjunct the dwarf planet Sedna in Gemini, and these two are working together to radically shift, change, alter, pivot, upgrade, or utterly topple the ways in which we understand consciousness, we understand the mind, and the mental processes. Now, this is working on a collective level as well, in terms of the way we communicate and technology, etc. But this also extends into things like, on a personal level, like a complete alteration of your mental state, a revolution with Uranus, and an evolution with Sedna of your mind's sense of knowing, of how conscious you are of your mind's processes and your mental states, and how this helps to create your reality and your life. So this is about both deeper with Sedna and higher with Uranus intelligence, deeper and higher intelligence, intelligence on all levels. So this is an utter change via a process of transmutation. And in Gemini, these two are uncovering the hidden depths of the mind, and also of things that were previously hidden beneath the surface, particularly because of Sedna, particularly of betrayals or secrets or abuses of power. So the new beginnings, intentions, and practical steps that you want to take for the Virgo new moon may very well be around an overall clear out and upgrade of your life, your mental state, and the way that you view your daily world. This is a change of perspective here with Uranus in Gemini. With the square, it's tense, there's friction. Now, something unexpected or random or weird may be coming up out of the blue for you to deal with, which forces you to address the things which need to be organized, cleansed, or bettered. There's an innovation and an inventiveness that may be required for you to use your creative mind to solve problems or to work through these big things. Now, these are two mutable signs, so this is very much the winds of change here with Virgo and with Gemini. So it's important to remain aware that not all is going to stay as it is, and something that is once said or put into place may very well change into something very different, perhaps even in a very short space of time. This is about ideas with Gemini changing with Uranus. You may have a new perspective on what is healthy, a new perspective on what you want in your life, what you want to do for work, all of these Virgo things. There may be choices to make about how to proceed, because Gemini is about choices and options, and it could be a tricky choice because this is a square, or a choice which causes some tension or argument, whether with others or within yourself. What's very interesting to note is that Jupiter in Cancer is at the midpoint between the new moon and this Uranus-Sedna conjunction. Now, these 2 points are making half squares, which are called semi-squares, which is a 45-degree angle to Jupiter, who's at 16 degrees of Cancer, so directly in the middle of this square. So these semi-squares are like squares, but they add something pricklier, stickier, more annoying or irritating, like someone is rubbing your fur backwards on purpose and you're pissed about it. Jupiter in Cancer is making large the emotions. And Jupiter in Cancer is actually ruled by the moon here in Virgo. So this Jupiter semi-square is more in favor of this Virgo moon. And it has more in common with this moon because they're both in yin feminine signs. It has nothing in common whatsoever with the sign preceding it, which is where Uranus and Sedna are. And it's this Uranus which is posing the greatest challenge to the big emotions at this time. So there could be some kind of an overstimulation which causes these large emotions to feel threatened or overwhelmed. There will be a need to ground and simplify with the moon in Virgo, these big, big emotions with Jupiter in Cancer, but that might feel too confining for you, too difficult or too complex. So there needs to be some kind of an emotional outlet here. There's a lot of mental energy with the Gemini, but there's also a lot of analytical, discerning, processing, sorting, organizing that's needed with this strong Virgo energy as well. But Jupiter in Cancer, it's giving this massive urge to feel and express and explore the emotional world and what you really need. And if there's not an outlet in this process, if there's not an outlet for any of these frustrating or potentially frightening things that are coming up for you, these emotions are likely to expand out of proportion. It's like a sore spot. When you poke it, the fluid gushes out. Whilst there may be a need here to sort, organize, make choices, as well as, honoring your body and honoring your day to day and the mundane things in your world, there's also this slightly bothersome requirement to get the emotions in check, not to control or confine the emotions. That will only make things really pop, but to get the emotions in check in a way that you can really feel them and express them as appropriate, and in a way that you can also align them with the choices that you're making, these terrestrial requirements that it's necessary to now shift and alter. So there's a kind of an annoying, irritating balancing act that we're moving through with the emotions at this time. And there is an emotional journey and an emotional exploration and even teachings and learnings with Jupiter here. This is a entirely new emotional understanding unfolding, even as we're having this strong mental understanding with the Uranus and Sedna in Gemini. So this may be what is unfolding throughout your process of breaking free and changing and shifting and going deeper and going higher and integrating all of that into your ordinary real world life. There is also an emotional maturity and an emotional understanding that is coming with this entire process as well. And it's definitely an emotional expansion here as well. Jupiter expand what it touches. So through working on all of this with this semi-square, it may not feel like roses, but it's important to first gain some perspective with Gemini and to ground with Virgo before having an emotional blast off. Remember too that amongst all of these mutable shifting sands, this moon is in Virgo, which is about tending and cultivating and maintaining emotional health and well-being. So there's something really here about learning about your own emotional health and putting that first, especially when you're faced with the force of the mind and the ego awareness that is coming through with this Uranus-Sedna square. Okay, so that's 2 outer planets and 1 social planet out of the way. Now let's get on to the other 3. This new moon is at the apex of a yod pattern, which is to say that it's making 2 quincunxes to form a long triangle called a yod, or also the finger of God. So of course at the bottom we have this famous Pluto in Aquarius at 1 quincunx, and at the other quincunx we have this Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries. So these two, this Saturn, Neptune, and this Pluto, they're in a supportive sextile to each other, which is fueling and cheering on each other's journeys of deep liberational empowerment with Pluto and self-mastery with Saturn and personal dreams with Neptune. These are all big, big themes, and I won't go on like a broken record about these 3 because I've spoken about them many times before in multiple other lunation videos. So if you'd like a deeper dive into how these outer planets are transforming paradigms and consciousness, check out my Patreon or Substack where I break it all down for you. Now, the new moon in Virgo is making a rather uncomfortable connection to these evolutionary areas in a way which is very obvious because it's at the apex of this configuration with these outer planets at the base. So what does this all mean? Well, all of this new moon energy is saying it's time to get precise. It's time to get some definition so that I know which step to take first and how to do what I feel like I need to do. New moon in Virgo. So these details, this requirement for setting things in stone, or this urge to set something in motion in practical ways, could be making you feel uneasy. There are ambitious goals with Saturn in Aries, and these are very wild personal dreams with Neptune in Aries. There could be some difficulty around the logistics, the specifics, around figuring out how to actually make something work. And no matter how deeply you feel this need to make something happen, make it functional, make it go, there could still be an uncertainty around what it will actually look like or if it will even eventuate into anything. Virgo likes to know that something fits, that something is just right, that it's going to operate wholly and well. But this is not a time of certainty, and it's also not a time of following the operations manual point by point. Now, yes, there's a gift of Virgo of being able to adapt and change, and even to adapt to chaos and curveballs, because remember, it's a mutable sign. It can make order out of chaos. But this element of Virgo, which is concerned with a dedication and a devotion to things working well, could be feeling a bit uncomfortable at this time. So when there are greater forces at play which don't give an indication that things will sustain, that things will play out in a predictable way that you can expect or that you can plan for, that there's no indication that anything is going to work in a way which it normally works. Remember, we have Uranus here and Pluto in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus at 1 foot of this yacht. It's making us end things. And Virgo, the assistant, the devotee, the worker, doesn't really get an answer when it asks, how do I do this? This can feel very uncomfortable when you have to figure it out yourself and just hope and just trust that things will flow in whichever direction you aim to channel things. There is a massive element of trust here required, especially with Neptune involved. But when we have all of this outer planetary action, because things seem so big and seem out of your hands sometimes, and Virgo wants to get a handle on things. It's practical. It's an earth sign. It wants to serve. It wants to be useful. But the way things are going, the practical steps, they may not be feeling like they're operating in a familiar way anymore, because this is all unfamiliar territory now. And remember, this moon likes familiarity. It likes to feel safe, likes to feel like it belongs. And whilst this is a time to define and distill and get more precise on where you want to devote your energy, what you want to work on and serve, and especially with the Uranus square here, you're going to have to keep your tool belt on, because you won't necessarily know what you'll need and where you'll need to direct your energy next, perhaps at a moment's notice. Virgo is good at this. It's good at working on the balls of its feet and picking up things as things come. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be hiccup free. That doesn't mean it's going to be a smooth ride, and it doesn't mean that it's going to feel particularly comfortable. And remember as well, Pluto is about transformation through the darkness. Sedna is about transmutation through trials. Uranus is about radical change on all fronts. So this is all geared towards things changing. And you probably already know what this is for you, because this energy, whilst new here, it's not particularly fresh. We've had Pluto here since November 2024, Sedna since 2023. Uranus is the brightest player. He only entered Gemini in July, but he's playing into the themes that are already in motion. Whilst things may feel undulating and unsettling, it is still a time to devote with Virgo. Devote yourself to you, to your own dreams, to your own self-mastery, to your own power through your own freedom, to devote yourself to your higher creative intelligence. This is not a simple thing to do. This is all very big, and you may feel overwhelmed. You may feel like you're even on the other side of the spectrum. You could feel like you're chomping at the bit to get going, but you simply don't know how or where to begin putting things into practice. And the advice of the new moon in Virgo is do one thing at a time. Take what comes when it comes and continue on your way. Begin with the most basic thing you can. Begin with the body, your natural rhythms, your natural health needs, what you need to feel physically cleansed, clear, and aligned, whether this is physical activity or the food and water that you put into your body or any physical habits that you need to feel grounded and refreshed. So devoting yourself to the simplest thing of your own body's natural rhythms can actually lead you to more answers than you might think. It's also a very grounding practice. Virgo likes lists. Virgo likes to arrange in order of priority, keeping things concise and accessible by acknowledging what is the most important thing in this moment. Taking time as it comes rather than looking too far ahead is also a very supportive thing to do around this time as well. It's not about not having your goals and dreams, but Virgo likes planning, but the Uranus square will probably be doing the things to plans which make the plans redundant. So try not to be too plan oriented and remain open to taking things moment by moment, day by day, week by week in digestible chunks. Virgo rules the digestion. This is another supportive thing you can do at this time. This in itself might not feel comfortable if you're one of the people who are raring to go and want to do and be all the things right now and forevermore. I mean, all the things forevermore, they can't all happen at once. And this is the lesson of digesting and appreciating things separately. And your overall emotional health, the moon in Virgo, is going to benefit greatly from this process of grounding and making things more digestible and taking things one thing at a time. So let's move on to the tarot. Today I'm using the Transient Light Tarot by Ari Wisner. It's a very minimalist deck, which is perfect for Virgo, but it's also really great to bring things some simplicity because of all of this outer planet complexity that we have at this new moon. And it's also a very profound deck as well, which is very fitting also. Now, the Fool just flew out of this deck, and so did the Eight of Pentacles. So I just pulled out an extra card to round it all off, which is the Four of Pentacles. And the pentacles in this deck are named coins. So with that 0-degree Virgo, with the outer planet connections in all the beginning degrees, and with this as a new moon as well, warming up the crowd for the upcoming eclipse season, the Fool is a very appropriate card to come out. So this is about flying, about trusting, and most of all about new beginnings. It's also about having faith in yourself and having faith in going for what you want, having faith in going on that next adventure of soul growth. It also signifies opportunities. So this is the opportunity for a fresh leaf, a new start in a whole new book. It's the 0 card of infinite potential, and it's the major arcana, which is signifying that this process that we're now in, it is a greater life theme, part of the bigger picture of your life path. Now there's the picture of a key in this card, which is signifying really that the key to the next step is stepping off the edge of what you want to create or to be. And there's a groundlessness, which even though we're in Virgo with the new moon, it's a reminder that, there can be a sense of having a sure footing by expecting the unexpected. And this massive eyeball in the middle of the card, it's kind of coming out of the darkness. Half of the card is in darkness and half of is in light. So most of this eye is already in the light. So it's almost like this process is going to be one of stepping out of the shadows, moving through uncertainty into the light of consciousness. That's what's going to make you bloom with that flower in the pupil here, blooming into consciousness. And I also just get that this eye is kind of a representation of the higher consciousness of self, source, universe, whichever you prefer, which is floating over you in space, watching over you, watching over you, moving through these times of uncertainty and reminding you that you are supported and that your own faith supports you as well. And that's what the outer planets are saying, sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes you just have to trust, or even if you don't trust, sometimes even so, the only way to go is forward, whether you know what lies ahead of you or not. And now we already know all of those themes are predominating here. I've already kind of covered them in the astrology reading. So it's just nice when the tarot kind of reflects exactly what I've said in a reading. So it's really just reinforcing that these are the themes already in play. Now, the Eight of Pentacles that comes out, speaking of which, this is the card which signifies the sun in the first decan of Virgo. You can't make this stuff up. It's a card which tells you to work on your sacred craft, hone your original skills and talents, make something that is uniquely yours, and practice, practice, practice. So there's a bit of Saturn coming through here because Saturn is the planet of work, mastery, and this is a card of mastery. This is about your reality with the Pentacle cards coming through. It's about the resources available to you. And 8 is a mastery number. It's a number of infinity and cycle. So it's speaking of the unending resources within and the cyclical nature of life itself. So by sharpening these inner resources and taking joy in pride in what you can make of them, what you can make in your life is a very strong theme. And this card does denote work. I just get the image of this free-flying person in the Fool card realizing, oh no, I forgot the parachute, or I don't know how to parachute. There can be the danger with the Fool of being too unprepared and too risk-taking. So the Eight of Pentacles is just saying that, if you know your stuff, if you hone what you're good at, what is sacred to you, you're going to have all the tools you need for this potential leap of faith and next step forward. And the next card, the Four of Pentacles, it's about preservation. So it's kind of juxtaposing the Fool card quite strongly here. There may be that disagreement within or that conflict within about either taking a risk or playing it safe. The Four of Pentacles is about sort of self-protection, which is something to maintain here with Jupiter in Cancer, the divine guardian in protective Cancer. So there's something about being emotionally connected to what really matters and remaining connected to what is precious to you and allowing that to be your platform to step off from. But the Four of Pentacles can also signify where you might get too stuck, too dug in, too stubborn to change. And there is the choice here with that Uranus, Saturn, and Gemini. You have a choice of whether to remain in that place or whether to take that leap of faith. We all have sovereign will. Everything is a choice. But there is a very strong pivot point here, especially with the eclipses upcoming, of leaping off that cliff or shutting yourself away. No, just kidding. The mediator here, it's the Eight of Pentacles. It's the middle card. There is a middle ground possible. And that middle ground is about trusting your own ability with the Eight of Pentacles to navigate the unknown with the Fool. Trusting your own ability to navigate the unknown whilst maintaining or by maintaining that connection to what is important with the Four of Coins here. And it's about knowing what to tend to and what to hold to with the Moon and the Four of Pentacles. And also knowing what to trust and what to just go for, because you know that whatever you're doing, whatever you're going through that's making you feel unsure or unsafe, you can work through it with Virgo and with the Pentacles. With all the uncertainty, the natural response is to go into that Four of Pentacles death grip of, no, it's mine, you can't take it, it's my precious, you'll never take me alive. Like going into fear and self-preservation, that's a very natural response. Practice with the Eight of Pentacles. You can practice opening up to the possibilities with the Fool. And you may see that maybe there isn't as much to fear as you think, and things will probably keep getting clearer the further ahead you get. And the hardest step is usually the first step. Now, I didn't mention much about that Neptune in Aries with that Saturn in the quincunx to the new moon, but sometimes with the Neptune quincunx, the discomfort is definitely around the unknown, the fog, the uncertainty, not knowing what's real or not real. But Saturn is there helping to make that support structure of working towards what is real instead of getting confused and lost in illusion. And again, this is doing that Virgo thing of knowing what is necessary, starting with the little steps, knowing what is sacred, and trusting that through the uncertainty, you have what it takes. You really have what it takes to make your dreams come true, as corny as that sounds. So there you have the first Virgo new moon of 2025. Remember, the second Virgo new moon is happening on the 22nd of September, which will be an eclipse. Thank you so much if you made it this far in the reading. I truly appreciate your presence, and I'd love to know what you think and how you feel in the comments, how this Virgo new moon is landing for you. Don't forget to like this video to help me in my little astro niche, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss any of my offerings. I have other platforms if you're an astrology lover and you enjoy diving deeper into the meaning of all the planets and signs and how they can work with you personally. So go ahead and check out my Patreon, Substack, or Instagram to uncover even more astrology updates. Thank you so much once again. I hope you enjoyed this Virgo new moon. Prepare, ground, and prepare again. Eclipse season is coming, and I will see you again in my next forecast. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.